Welcome to another episode of Free Therapy. Very, very excited for today's show. Yes, we've been off for a little bit, and I kind of felt like before we get into today's wonderful and beautiful guest, I kind of felt like I needed a little bit of time off, basically to shut the fuck up and continue to support what's been going on over the last month. Please continue to still donate to places like Black Lives Matter, Equal Rights Justice Initiative, ACLU. There's a bunch of causes. I have a monthly donation, $25 now, to Black Lives Matter. And there's continuing to also at the same time be other reforms and bills that are attempting to be passed and hopefully will be passed, and things that I already have passed on the local level as well, and old outdated monuments getting torn down. So there's a lot of progress and change and hope finally being made. If you do get a chance, please listen to Dexter's episode, that covers a whole lot of that. But today we're gonna go ahead and get on a little bit of a lighter note, but still serious as well, and introduce my wonderful guest, the resilient as a motherfucker, the unstoppable, knock her back down, she's gonna get right back up and take her boot and shove it right back down that ass until you can't move no more. Be reassured, do not fuck with her. It is the one, the only, Kaitlin Stoutenburgh. How are you doing? How are you living? Thank you for coming on the show. Can you believe it's actually happening?
Well, it's actually happening. Thank you so much for having me. I'm coming live from my car.
Woo!
Live from my mom mobile.
Hey, nothing better. We are set up. That is a beautiful set. You're recording from a beautiful live mom mobile set. I am very jealous. Killing it as always. What are we sipping on, Kaitlin?
My usual drink is either vodka soda or tequila and soda, but I drank way too much of that this weekend. So this is red wine.
Okay. And then I do have your drink guest of the week covered for us. Don't worry. Sorry to interject. But I got it covered and ready to go here. This is tequila and soda, and Jesus Christ. So cheers, and let's get it going.
What kind of tequila are you drinking, though? Because that matters.
It does matter, and it is, why am I blanking right now? What is the one that, the fancy Patron? I'm on Patron.
Patron is good. Next time, get some Casamigos. That's my favorite. You can drink that shit straight. You don't need any kind of mixer. It's so smooth, so good.
Okay. A local one that I also like, by the way, is Dr. Stoner's. And it is, look them up. They're locally owned. I taught their kids how to swim and all that good stuff. Awesome people. Really good tequila. Try it out. Little local love.
Okay. All right. I will.
So, Kaitlin,
tastes like shit.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Our delay's playing with us a little bit here, I think, but we'll make it work. No, so first things first, I always like to ask everybody, Kaitlin, aka KK, and I want to ask you that first before I get into how the fuck you know my obnoxious ass. Where did that name come from? Because is that your middle name? Because there's for a while, for reasons we won't get into, I couldn't call you that. You know why. We won't get into it today. But I survived. I made it through. I can call you that now. But where did that nickname come
from? When my sister's 4 years younger, so when she was 1, she couldn't say my name, so she called me KK. Then, fast forward, when Tara, who's very well, when TT had
former guest
twins,
and friend of the podcast.
Yes, TT had her twins, who are now almost 11. They couldn't say my name, so they called me Kaka. And then KK. Yeah.
I remember this a little bit now.
Definitely named shit for a while there. That evolved into KK, and then all of my friends' kids since then have called me KK. So it's just who I am now.
It is who you are now, KK. And it is the only KK I will let stay burned in my mind. All other KKs.
There's no fancy reason behind it.
Okay, no, I like that. I'm glad Kaka didn't stick for sure, to say the least. But
right? I know it's sad when they outgrew it because it's really cute. But
I
Oh,
mean, who knows?
yeah.
Maybe as a newly single woman. No, I don't think it would work. It just wouldn't work in it. But we'll get to. Oh, I'm already laughing
I
too
don't want
much
to
with
get
you. No, but I guess the question I always start off with is, how the fuck do you know my obnoxious ass?
I was given a referral for swim teacher by your awesome boss. They told me to reach out to Christina, and I
Shout out to
did.
Christina Hart, who I don't think will
Sawyer.
ever listen to this show.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
And she couldn't fit me into her schedule, so she said, "Hey, I have this guy. He's really great." So I reached out, and you started. I can't even remember. What was Sawyer, like 2 when you started with him? 3?
I think he had just turned 3.
Yeah, he was little.
Because it was, what, about into 2015. I think it was about end of 2015, 2016, started 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's 7 now. But yeah, we hit it off right away. I mean, immediately.
Yes.
Because we're both loud and obnoxious, and we like to have a good time, and we're funny.
We are silly fun time, indeed. Yes, we are a silly fun time. I was a little bit worried about too with us on this show if it was just going to be a shouting match or not. I think we're going to be okay with the delay.
I might be shouting now. I don't know. I could be shouting. That's just like my normal voice.
I'm just waiting because I'm at my parents until my new lease starts here. I'm at my parents. I'm just waiting for them to come down. They've already done it during a couple other podcasts. Joey, can you be a little quieter, please?
Oh my God, I hope they do.
I love you, Mom, but
I hope they do.
we will likely get a guest appearance from my mom here shortly, but I think
That's
the delays.
Awesome.
I think the delay is going to help us as well too with our shouting over each other, which should help us at least keep on track. But with that being said, I gotta know, and we'll get into this a little bit shortly. You are currently in the middle of a separation, or
I am
in the middle of a separation. I always think, I know you probably don't even know what I'm referencing here. God, I hope you do. But there's something that always anytime anyone's getting a separation, I always think of this bit from SNL and Stefan. If you remember Stefan, the guy who
I remember Stefan.
One of the clubs was, New York's hottest club is, your mother and I are getting separated. And then, so anytime I hear somebody's getting a separation, that always plays, your mother and I are getting separated, is New York's hottest new club. I love how Andy should totally say it to Sawyer, which I don't know, but probably not the best to do a bit to a 7-year-old like that. But
Sawyer he doesn't know any different, because Andy and I, he's, by the way, like, we get along really well. Andy's an amazing person. He's the best dad. Things didn't work out for us, but we're still so cordial, and Sawyer has never seen his parents in a loving relationship, so to him it's nothing new, you know. Like, his world, yeah, I mean, obviously we would love that it would have worked out and we could have been a strong family unit, which we still are, but
yeah, absolutely,
in a normal sense of what society views as a normal family. But he's never known any different. The way that things are now is the way that they've always been. So
right. And we'll climb into that in a little bit more here shortly, because my opening question more so was a little bit lighter, and I do want to dive in that, because one, I will say though before I do ask the opening question, is I can second that. I've known, as we've already said, I've known you and your family for a long time, mostly me, you and Sawyer, and I kind of read off that there was maybe some tribulation and trials to that, without getting too detailed. So, and I don't think I met him until last year, to be honest. So but what I will say, and what I've always noticed, is that you guys always, Sawyer's number one priority. All your bullshit comes second. Sawyer's number one priority, who is by far also, and I don't want to get too off the rails, but by far my favorite student I've ever taught. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care. I've been doing this for 10 years. I have had over thousands and thousands of little fuckers and wonderful children as well. And your kid is right up there with easily my favorite by far. He always brought a smile to his face.
You're
Every time
so
we'd always,
sweet.
my favorite thing, Kaitlin, by far. I don't know if you would dread it, especially, you probably would when you were hungover. I don't care if I was hungover or not, but sure enough, he'd walk through that door. I'd walk through the other door. Sawyer! And Joey! And we'd run and give each other a big hug. I couldn't even get my shirt off. I had to prep before to get it off. It was easily the best moment of my week. I had to take a picture with him every single week. And we had some good conversations too. We had some good conversations. He's a sharp.
We love you, and you know you're our favorite swim coach. We've never had another one, so I mean the competition isn't really that stiff, but
how much is that really saying? You know,
you're still number one in our book.
Could go back to the pavilion the next thing you know. Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. And finally,
hey, what? I think you just froze.
We had a little technical difficulties there, guys. We are back. We're gonna be in and out, but we're gonna just work right on through it. And that's kind of the quarantine style, baby. We're gonna work through it. We're gonna be champs. We're gonna be true grinders, Kaitlin.
Yes, I'm here for it.
I love it. So finally, this opening fucking question, as I've been teasing it, is you are going through that separation currently, and that is going through, as does happen in this wonderful bubble of Ashburn, that's going through the rumor mill of Ashburn. And eager divorcees as well are pouncing and praying and ready to see who can be up to bat to potentially date the wonderful Kaitlin Stoutenburgh. Now, with that being said, you mentioned to me when we were prepping for this, we did the prep research 2 months ago, the prep phone call. And you mentioned at the time that you are getting an array of dick pics, and whether it be through Instagram, DMs, I'm assuming mostly DMs, whether it be through Twitter, whether it be maybe just a good old-fashioned text, mail courier, potential raven, I don't know. The dick pics don't stop coming. This is an epidemic amongst not only you, but this is, I mean, any friend, female that I have that is my friend, gets this as well, gets an array of dick pics as well, or at least 15 new messages a day of a guy trying to shoot their shot. I understand that, but in what world have you ever been like, oh wow, that dick looks sure solid, boy howdy, let me talk to this clearly stable and intelligent person who's got a great future, that dick just says so?
Yeah, I don't, like, I'm all for people, shoot your fucking shot, that's great. But don't send me unsolicited dick pics. If I want a dick pic, I will ask for a dick pic. This is just like sliding into DMs, text messages. Now I understand too, we're also in quarantine right now, but I was separated prior to quarantine. I've been separated since the end of 2018. So the dick pics are just aplenty and have been. Obviously they've increased during quarantine because people are desperate. But it makes me laugh, actually. I probably should be outraged and disgusted, which I am too, don't get me wrong. But usually I just laugh and then I screenshot it and I show my friends. So everyone that's sent me dick pics, all my friends have seen your dicks, okay?
And
all right?
And have profusely made fun of you.
Stop sending dick pics. No woman wants to see your dick unsolicited. If we want to see your dick, we'll let you know.
Has the unsolicited dick pic ever worked in the history of ever?
It's like when you're walking down the street and someone's like whistling at you, or I drove home from
it's modern day catcall.
It is. I was driving from the mountains a few weeks ago, and some guy drove next to me pretty much for 60 miles and was like, what? We're going 80 miles per hour. What am I gonna do? Like, flash you? Here's my number. Call. No. Like, I don't get it. So
pull over right now.
You know,
pull over. I gotta give you my number. We gotta go out ASAP. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Like, pull over. No.
Hey mama.
Yeah. I'm sure he was totally the kind of guy that would, if he had my number, would be sending me unsolicited dick pics. That's for sure. I mean,
100%. That the guy that is catcalling you on the highway at 80 miles per hour is definitely sending you dick pics, balls pics, taint pics, you name it. He's sending the whole package, Kaitlin.
people get more than they bargain for with me too. Because if you can't call me and I'm walking by, I'm turning around and saying something to you.
Oh,
And it's not
100%.
It's not going to
100%.
be pleasant.
That's why I love you. That's why I love you, and that's why I wanted to have you on today. That's a perfect transition because you are resilient. Whether it's an array of dick pics, I'm gonna let you know what's on my fucking mind. I'm not just gonna shut the fuck up and back down, or it's dealing with it on a serious note and talk about a transition here, or dealing with just the normal obstacles that life throws at you, right? I mean,
Yes.
on a recent you are a frequent podcaster. You are a kind of a media extraordinaire, Kaitlin. And
Oh.
yes, media extraordinaire. I should have added that to the introduction. But on another fantastic podcast, once again, bringing up TT here, and on her podcast, The Arrow Angle, which please go check out. I know you can find it on Apple Music. You can go ahead and find the links at Arrowbirth. Go follow them as well, please. They are doing great things over there. Go back and listen to the episode if you want more information on how to help out and donate with Arrowbirth. Unless, Kaitlin, you got the donation offhand right now, you can go to their website and donate and help out.
Well, right now we are donating a portion of our proceeds to Black Mamas Matter, and that's an alliance that directly affects Black mothers, because Black mothers are at much more risk for infant mortality and maternal mortality. So super close to our heart. That would be the place we would want donations right now. Black Mamas Matter.
Black Mamas Matter, and I'll put a link to that once we put this up on my Instagram and Four Corners Radio Instagram as well, to make sure that everyone, our listeners, can donate too, please.
Thank you.
But absolutely, and on that podcast, you mentioned, dealing with something that we've covered a lot on this show, anxiety and depression, since you were 18. And dealing with that anxiety and depression, and who we've been talking about, Sawyer, when Sawyer was born, and kind of the buildup of the pregnancy of Sawyer, and after, only amplified that. I guess my question to you is kind of walk us through, if you wouldn't mind, kind of how that built.
When I was in college, I would get horrible diarrhea and I would get sick, and we couldn't figure it out for a while. I just thought, and then my mom finally realized one day that it was always around midterms. So I started to see a doctor then to address my anxiety. And I should say my freshman year of college, I was very overwhelmed. I'm a total type A perfectionist. I'd never gotten anything right.
No. I didn't have to write you books and books when I first started teaching Sawyer to prove to you that I knew the fuck I was talking about.
But I was very overwhelmed. I had never been in a situation where I was on my own, and I had all this pressure. And so one night I took a bunch of pills, and thank God my roommates found me. And it's just kind of something that my parents and I never told anyone about. And they were just they were respecting my privacy, because I didn't want to be viewed as crazy. And then from there,
especially at that time, I'm sorry to interject, especially at that time when there wasn't a lot of understanding of that. I mean, it was still, and you still had movies like One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest coming out, and other countries that really took the time to understand mental health awareness at that time at all.
Well, and I wasn't this secluded, isolated loner. I was very social. Yeah. I was always happy-go-lucky, so it was, people didn't understand, and I knew they wouldn't, or I figured they wouldn't understand why the person who's always so happy-go-lucky, the life of the party, the one that's always making jokes, would be so. But in my mind, I was tortured, and
that's often the one who has it the most too.
Correct. Yeah.
Because we're masking it.
Robin Williams. I had a friend in high school.
Chris Farley. I just watched his bio thing recently.
a friend in high school whose brother was also the life of the party, always smiling. I mean, the words always smiling are on his tombstone now. And he committed suicide. He was very depressed. And people didn't know those signs to look for. And those of us that are suffering struggled with letting other people know.
Right.
Anyway, so 19 years old, I would get really sick. And my mom finally realized, hey, this is always around times of high stress. So I started seeing a doctor and got on medication, which helped a good deal. And it wasn't until I got pregnant that I stopped taking my medication for obvious reasons. I wanted to be as healthy as I could during my pregnancy. But I mean, it was pretty much almost immediate where I felt hopeless and sad and anxious all the time. So I confided in Tara, TT, who we keep referencing. She was my birth doula.
Wonderful
And
person to reference.
she got me hooked up with a therapist who legitimately saved my life, because while I didn't have thoughts of harming my baby per se, I definitely was self-harming. I would have these visions of like driving into a tree, anything that I felt out of control about. And that could be something as simple as looking down and realizing there was like a speck of dust on my baseboard, and that would send me into outer fucking space. And then after I had Sawyer, it was the same thing, except my anxiety was amplified more. I was terrified to leave the house. I was terrified of dropping him. So I got back on meds. And again, I didn't tell anyone for a long time. I didn't tell my family. They had no idea because I didn't want to worry them. They're all far away. So I just kept it in and went to therapy and tried to work it out. But my anxiety
something real quick
manifested
too,
itself
Kaitlin.
in rage. What's that?
Something I just wanted to address real quick is because some of my audience members might not be completely familiar with this stuff. Like I know myself personally, when I had TCON, I had to do a little research on just the kind of not only postpartum but just the process of pregnancy in general. So my listeners can kind of put it in frameworks. There's actually this great show that you should check out that is called Catastrophe. I don't know why I blanked for a second. Catastrophe. And in this, it's basically this American guy meets this British couple, and he kind of work through the pregnancy. And I remember watching this show last year at the same time of research, doing research for TT's show. And that is exactly what you're saying right now, Kaitlin. It's very common to say, "Oh, I was worried about, driving into a tree, or what if I'm birthing the Hitler baby, or what if, I screw up his life somehow, and it's all my fault, and maybe I should go off that bridge." And you have those really scary thoughts, and I kind of clicked, and I was like, "Whoa, holy shit!" Like I've heard this from several different of my moms now. And not having particular control over being like, holy shit, what's wrong with me? It's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming, like beyond words or belief. I mean, parenthood is a huge transition in and of itself for mom and dad, or mom and partner, whoever. It's a huge transition, and it's extremely overwhelming, even if you don't have these other things thrown in. So throw those things in, and also be a fucking type A nut job who wants to control everything, who now can't. It was, and then you don't have, like in my situation, I didn't have the healthiest marriage. Our communication sucked. So my anxiety after I had Sawyer manifested itself in rage. So I just thought I was legit losing my mind, and was educated on the fact that, hey, actually rage is a symptom of anxiety. It's a result of anxiety. So once I started addressing that, I could get things under control again. And I've actually had a ton of friends who have experienced similar, and they're like, I just want to like fucking scream at the top of my lungs and like scream fuck at my kids. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. And that's anxiety. And they're like, no. But like, people think anxiety is like, oh, I'm so worried. No, anxiety can manifest itself in many ways. And rage in new moms is one of them. And it will continue for years if you don't address it, whether through therapy, medication, or a combination of both. So like I had a girlfriend, her kids were, who you know, her twins were about 3, maybe 2.5, almost 3. And she's like, I want to lose my shit. And I do every day. And I told her this. I said, rage is a sign of, it's an indication of anxiety. And she fought it. And then she finally went and got help. And watching her come back into herself because of meds and therapy was like the most beautiful thing. Yes, we also want to kill our kids from time to time because kids are hard.
And you know what, that's an honest thought, right? I think that's your face. I love that face expression you just made there. That's definitely a meme. But I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand, and something that I love so much about you, and I mentioned at the top, is that open and honesty helps out people tremendously. When you have thoughts like that, it's normal. I think every single mom at one point or another, I guarantee you, probably still to this day from time to time, my mom has thoughts like that about me.
I'm 37 years old and I know my mom wants to strangle me from time to time still. Like,
that's how you know you really love the person, right?
Yeah, exactly.
and then to address something else you said too, is anxiety comes in all shapes and forms, and to be nice and cheesy here, every piece of anxiety is a snowflake, and it's that's exactly it, right? It comes in all different forms, shapes, and sizes, what have you. And I mean, I think we had a Caroline Snell, who was a guest a couple of weeks ago, discussed specifically anxiety, and she discussed that as well, where she's just in the grocery store, all of a sudden, next thing you know, she just panic attack, full-on panic attack. Not really any kind of explanation. She didn't know if it was just kind of the overwhelming environment and a combination. She did mention there's a couple different things going on, but it's not something that just, oh, I'm worried and this is exactly why I'm worried. No, it's not. It's not something that's just gonna be in black and white.
Sometimes you can't place it, and it's just this silent fucking beast that consumes you, and it's hard to explain or put into words for anyone. And so people think because you can't see a physical ailment, like it doesn't exist or it's not real, when we know that depression, anxiety, any other mood disorder in itself, any other mental health issue, they all need just as much attention as, let's say, a broken arm. It's not just going to go away if you don't put a cast on it. So
100, exactly. It needs as much attention as that physical issue, 100%. Yeah. And so I guess that kind of leads me to my next question: is what did you? I know you started to mention, and I quickly interjected, but I know you started to mention that you began to see a therapist, and you began to take kind of different routes to help you with this and kind of get you through that. What did you do to kind of get you through that, and kind of how do you maintain and, again, be that resilient motherfucker, as much of a motherfucker as it can be today?
I did therapy. I went back on antidepressants, which also help with anxiety. And I hate taking medicine. Like, I am as all natural as I possibly can be. So to put chemicals in my body, I hate it. But I know for me, it's a matter of life or death. So I'll go off my meds every now and again, and maybe the longest I can go before I start to feel desperate again is about a year. And my doctor is wonderful, and he's totally supportive if I want to go off them for a little bit. But I know now there's no shame in having to rely on something to change your body's chemistry so you don't feel like you want to rip your fucking hair out every day, or you're going to cry all day long, or, you want to strangle your kids, which... Listen, any parents that are listening right now know to take me seriously. Anybody that doesn't have kids is like, somebody call CPS on this woman right now.
Yeah, but a lot of my friends, just listen, go back and listen to the 10 minutes ago, and you'll understand what we are talking about. Continue.
I was really great for a while, and well, as great as I can be, because I'm just still just an anxious person by nature. But I Tara dragged me to a support group when Sawyer was around 9 months old. It was tremendous and amazing and so helpful. And then from there, myself, Tara, and two other women started a local support group here in Loudoun County, which is where I am. And that's been going now for over 4 years. We have over 400 members. We actually are too busy to run it now. So we have two friends that stepped in and they have taken over for us, which is great. We're still involved, but we're just not as hands-on as we used to be. So our friends Bergen and Beth stepped in and they're amazing and they've taken over that. And from there, like, this passion was lit inside of me to help other moms. I have a background in mental health. So after college, I was a mental health counselor. I got into mental health. And then I got to marry the two after I had Sawyer of mental health, new moms, or just moms in general, because Sawyer's 7 and I still struggle. Like, I still need help. So I guess just helping moms, period. But I did have a couple years where I was kind of thrown back into it because Sawyer is autistic, and when I noticed that something was off, I spiraled because you only want the best for your children, and we're beaten down. You know, I'm pointing at my head here, like, with all these ideas from society that to be normal, so much, you have to fit in this box. And for a long time, I let that bother me. But now, I mean, I still struggle with it. And I struggle with it not because my child is different, but because I know he's going to face a lot of challenges for the rest of his life. And I hate that for him. But he's smart as shit. Yep. He's so sweet. He's funny.
Yeah, he really is. He would crack me up all the time.
He's so funny. But, like, he just he's really
looking kid,
my buttons, but it's so funny that I can't not laugh at a lot of the stuff. And then I get in trouble with Andy for not, like, disciplining him, but I'm like, it's funny. Like, he colored the bathroom floor. I don't know.
You can't get mad at him for his Picasso.
No, it looked good too, actually, if I'm being honest.
Some of the stuff I see you put on your Instagram stories and stuff, that the kid's talented. I'm just saying, the kid is talented.
He is.
He really is. I wanted to say too, handsome kid. I'm telling you, he's going to be getting laid all the time. I know you don't want to think about that at age 7, but I'm telling you, he's going to be a ladies' man. Just wait.
I'm biased, obviously, because I'm his mom. Like, I always tell people when they get pregnant and they ask me, like, what if my kid's ugly? And I'm like, listen, your kid could come out looking like the biggest troll, but you're never going to know it. You're never going to see it. So you don't have to worry about that. To you, your child is the most beautiful person ever. But, so that means a lot. Thank you. I mean, I think he's handsome too, but he really could look like a troll and I don't even know it. So
he does not look like a troll. I'm telling you, so when you would, because I make all my clients go away for their lessons, I wouldn't even teach them. I would just be like, so can you just give me some tips, dude? Like, how do I look a little bit better? How can I dress a little bit more like you? Like, honestly, bro, just break it down for me if you could just help me out. And he always did. You just gave, basically, our lessons was just your 7-year-old son giving me women advice. So thank you, Sawyer.
Okay, wait, I gave you women advice too.
You gave me the actual women advice, no bit included. That was very, very helpful and it helped me get through a lot of shit. And thank you very much for
Probably not the best person to give women advice, but
the
best thing is just not send dick pics. Just don't send the dick pics.
And I wanted to say earlier too, and I know we're getting off rail for a second, but I'll get us back on track. I wanted to say earlier, I only ever sent one. I was 13, and I just thought I learned early. But We don't have to get into the psychology of all that, okay? We don't have to get into the psychology of all that and break the age down there. I don't want to unpack that. But the girl was 15. Okay, so I was shooting for the stars. Okay?
Wow.
And I learned never to do that just from that one experience. So I learned early, I got away from it, and then there's definitely other tactics to pursue. But what I wanted to say is clearly, I mean, what you've done, Kaitlin, and it's something that I've done too, at least in terms of dealing with, and I've talked about this a little bit on the show, my own anxiety and depression, is you've turned it into an outlet with that open and honesty. And that's what free therapy is all about too. You've turned it into something to where you're helping other people. You're getting out that passion for helping other people. It's always been your background, and that's helping you keep that peace. That's helping keeping kind of those, I mean, for lack of better terms, those two best buds of anxiety and depression, because they go hand in hand, as we know, at bay. It really is. And I got hat truly off for you for that.
Thank you.
That is impressive. Has there ever been a time where that principle was almost challenged, where you felt like that kind of openness and that kind of passion for it would almost, and I mean, humans will be humans, right? Well, they're kind of take advantage of another's kindness. But has there ever been kind of where you had to apply your own resiliency to somebody kind of taking advantage of that situation?
No, I mean, I don't think so. Ever since I opened up, and I never even told anybody about my suicide attempt until a few years ago, during Mental Health Awareness Month, which is in May. My brother just tried to FaceTime me. Hold on, sorry.
No, you're fine. No worries.
Oh my God, he's so annoying. He's gonna keep calling back. So it was a few years ago, maybe 3. Yeah, I think it was 3 years ago that I opened up about that, and that was so well received. I was very nervous about it, and I sent my parents a text and said, "Hey, I'm gonna post this. I'm gonna put this out here on social media. You know, it's something I feel super passionate about now, and I'd worked in mental health, like I said, since out of college, mm-hmm. but I'd never shared my own personal experiences. And I got such a great response from that I just kept going. But I don't think anybody's ever taken advantage of the situation or me because of it, thankfully.
Good.
Nothing's like popping into my head. Maybe I'm missing something, but
no, and that's good. And the only reason I mention that is because, I mean, it has to do with that resiliency, and maybe it's because you're kind of, I think, almost above that. You know what I mean? You don't let it happen to you in a sense, because we talk about how, well, you do fuck with you, you're going to clap back 100%.
Oh, I will clap the fuck back.
So I think it's kind of, you have that correct wall of, okay, yeah, I'll help you. But if you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna try to fuck me over, well, again, like I said to introduce you, you're gonna take that boot and shove it up 2 miles long to where it don't shine. Yeah. And I think that's kind of to what I'm getting at to anybody out here. I think that's a good wall to set up. That to kind of get that resiliency, to kind of keep your one foot in front of the other and keep on moving, is you gotta kind of set that. Yes, I'm here to help you, but you're going to respect me too, and you're going to go. It's a tit for tat. It's not a the whole cake situation where you can eat it all and all that good stuff. It's not the metaphor there, but you get what I'm getting at, right? And
yes,
and so I think that's really important. That have that outlet, find your passion, and be comfortable to help people out in that passion, especially if that is your passion. But at the same time, if you want to keep that resiliency, you can't allow yourself to get run over. You got to have that wall as well, and know when you're being taken advantage of, and kind of be above that, as KK certainly is.
Oh, for sure. Fuck, I was just going to say something and now I forgot while you were talking. I'm like trying to be polite. Usually I'm just like interrupting, but so many people are going to watch this and I don't want them to think I'm rude.
No, not at all. That is part of the podcast too. That's why, that's why we edit it out too, baby. No worries at all. And as well as it's our 2 top flaws, and I think we're doing a pretty good job. Both of us, our top flaws is interrupting each other, is interrupting people in general. I know. I'm go back and listen to any podcast. That is my number one critique of this podcast. It's interruption, and I'm working on it.
So bad at it. Like, so bad at it. I can't help myself. I really can't.
Well, I remember a pool deck
people are like, oh, and you worked in mental health. I when I was at work, I was great and I could listen to my clients, but get me in a room full of my friends and I'm going to talk over every single motherfucker in the room.
Me too. My friends are like, "Oh my God, Joey, that's your opposite right there, or your female Joey right there." Seriously, because not opposite at all. Because seriously, I cannot tell you. Do you remember a pool deck conversation? Sometimes we would try to talk about something, and it'd be like, "No, we can't. I have to get this point in. No, Joey, I'm getting this point in," and one of us would eventually give up. But it was a battle. So yeah. I think we're doing pretty well so far. I have got to say.
I know. I agree. I think so too. I do.
Through that, do you remember what you were going to say?
No, I was just trying to remember again.
Well, that's if it comes to you, please do let us know. But I mean, it kind of leads to me to our final section today, and to kind of wrap up is we've talked about it, right? Is one, something that's kind of almost become the theme of this show. At least in season 2, and that is that talk to somebody, always be open and honest with that person. You'll be surprised on how just alone talking to somebody can help, whether they give you good advice or shit advice. Just that alone, just kind of airing it out and getting that breath does
completely
wonders, as well as finding your passion, something that can kind of get all that because that anxiety and that depression, as I said before, that anxiety is your buddy. Sometimes it means you care. It's just figuring out how to channel that anxiety, right? And finally, as well as to really get that true resilience, is you've got to know when you're being taken advantage of and when you're not being taken advantage of, and to really put up that I'm here for you, but with the proper amount of respect, that don't fuck with me wall.
No, completely. I mean, if I'm going to throw in like one other thing, humor, is a really great way for me to educate other people on it, because sometimes if you deliver what others deem as like heavy stuff, they turn off because they get uncomfortable. So, and I'm not saying that we always have to approach very serious issues like mental health with humor, because it's not always funny, and it actually very rarely is. But for me, I found that the best way that I can get my point across is with humor. And I'm never ever making fun of the situation, anything but. And if you ever come at me with some crazy bullshit, like you were saying earlier, like I will clap the fuck back at somebody, because this is very serious. But for me, it's helped educate others, that and drugs and alcohol. So those are also really great.
Well, and look at you beautifully transitioning us into the next segment. But I do want to touch on humor as well, obviously, because that is my bread and butter. I think when I'm not doing this and I'm not, doing normal adult things that I have to do in life, I'm comedy. I'm either writing comedy, I'm performing comedy, I'm watching something comedy, I'm listening to something comedy, and that's my outlet right there, right? You mentioned humor and helping people out as your outlet, same road as me, and that's what keeps me going is humor and comedy. It's what I believe in. I mean, when you look back at the history, you mentioned that many great comedians kind of have that history of that, and not to say that every comedian is dealing with that by any means either, but it's just another great form to really kind of control those anxieties and channel those anxieties and depression and be that resilient motherfucker. And yes, another antidote, and probably the most common form to be resilient and to keep us going, is absolutely alcohol and the wonderful drugs, especially in at least our cases, Kaitlin, marijuana. I've been doing it since, again, this age might be alarming to you as well, since I was 13.
Same.
Beautiful. Love it. And now it's kind of, I mean, it's like my coffee in the morning and throughout the whole entire fucking day. And it's, and alcohol as well. I'm going to have 2 or 3 beers at night, right? I'm going to 100% have 2 or 3 beers at night, and I'm minimizing it. I guess my question to you is, I mean, there's that cliche, and it's a cliche is a cliche for a reason, as we always say on this show, of that self-medication can eventually implode, right?
Yeah,
Self-medication
absolutely.
can eventually implode. So I think when you have a little more years of experience with keeping track on this than I do, but not that much more, of course. But with that being said, what do you kind of do to kind of keep a cap on it? Can we both? I think we both have admitted we could both use a little more control from time to time,
Oh yeah.
100%. But
Like,
what do you kind of do, and how do you kind of feel about just what do we do to be resilient and try to contain that ticking time bomb?
well, for me, when my marriage started to really implode right before we separated, I was drinking a lot more than I'm proud to admit to cope. And um and again, before anyone calls CPS on me, when I go out and do what I'm doing as an adult, because I can make those decisions, I don't have my son with me. So I am a very responsible parent, and I have a job during the day that I'm not fucked up for either. But
Yeah, and you're not a day drinker, you're not any of that whatsoever. When you go out with the girls, you're just having a girls' night like any other
yeah,
mom in this area, and Andy's there taking care of the kid or whoever may be
yeah,
sitting that night. But you
exactly.
guys, yeah, that's not even a question whatsoever.
There was that time where before we got separated, we were kind of hanging in limbo. What are we going to do? What's going to happen? And I was drinking a lot, and I knew that that was not good, because that's not a coping mechanism that solves problems.
No.
Drinking can be fun and you can have a great time, but if you are seeking answers or solitude, or you're not going to find that at the bottom of a bottle. So
Yes.
I got back into therapy because I had stopped for a couple years. So I started seeing my therapist again. So I've been seeing her regularly now since 2018, which has been great. So helpful, really getting me to identify like healthy coping mechanisms so that I can deal with my anxiety and depression in those ways. And then when I go out and have fun with my friends, I know that I can just go out and like know that I'm drinking because I'm just having a good time and I like the taste of Casamigos and soda.
God damn right you do, and there's nothing
Or
wrong with that.
an occasional like blunt, I mean,
And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, it's now decriminalized in Virginia as well. To go on that and kind of piggyback off what you're saying. Yeah.
cheers to that.
Cheers, KK. Ah. I think that you summed it up really well. Yes, that if the self medication is not controlled, it is indeed a ticking time bomb. And when you find those other coping mechanisms, the healthy coping mechanisms, then you're not reliant on those two others as much, right? You're not relying on those negative coping mechanisms. You can control it, and you can say, okay, this weekend I'm going to go out with the girls. I'm going to go ahead and have a fun weekend with all the moms and all that good stuff. And you know what? At the end of the night, all the moms, so we all pass out, and we might smoke a blunt. It might happen. Why not? There's nothing wrong with that. It's
Usually does.
yeah, and it's just a way to relax, even keel when you handled your shit and everything is done what needs to be done. Why not kick off a couple rocks? I think it's something that can absolutely help deal with that stuff as well. Again, when it's properly controlled and properly
Yes.
medicated. And I
If you're
think
using it as a crutch, that's a red flag. And sometimes it takes having your friends point it out. I'm worried about you. I've noticed that you've been drinking more. You don't remember. So yeah. And I will never apologize for going out and having a good time. I fucking deserve it, especially right fucking now. Like quarantine since March, I'm working a full-time job. I'm working a part-time job from home with my child, homeschooling him. Andy is an essential worker, so he's had to go into the office since this all started. So Sawyer's home with me. And like, there are many days I want to burn the house down, and just be like, I'm out.
right,
it.
right.
But getting used to it.
Well, this
3 months later.
And I'll kind of shift to the moment, but to kind of address that for a second, it's been what I've been telling everybody. I said on a couple episodes now. It's like a weird Black Mirror episode, boring that Black Mirror episode we're all stuck in right now. It feels like at certain times the end of the world and Rome's on fire and the ceilings fall or the sky's falling and all that good stuff. But I try to take a breath of calmness and be resilient in this situation and remind myself we're going to get back to a sense of normalcy soon if everyone can follow procedures and protocols, and that we just continue to stay strong, stay patient, and stay fucking resilient. People stay resilient, and more on to that. I mean, I think you put it really well today, Kaitlin, and I really appreciate you coming on, being as open and honest as you were, and really sharing a lot of tough stuff, because I mean, you went through the ringer. If there was a depression boss, you definitely met it. For my video game fans, I know that's not exactly your corner of the world, but for my video game fans, yeah, you basically faced the depression and anxiety level bosses and came back to tell the tale. If that's not resiliency, I don't know what the fuck is. So thank you so much for that. Not only that, I mean, you reminded people that it's so important to have these open and honest conversations to kind of let out those anxieties and those the depression things that you may be feeling yourself. And not only that, reminding us, just take back, find your passion, find the thing you love. For you, it's helping out other mothers, it's taking care of Sawyer, it's being the social media expertise as you are. and like you said, just trying to get a good laugh in, and
break the stigma. That's what I'm all about. We got to break the stigma.
Yes. That is I think that's the perfect note. And I want to end on that. Break the stigma 100%. With that being said, do you have anything else to add today?
No, I thank you for having me on. It always makes me happy to come on and just speak my truth. And if anyone that's listening is struggling, they can reach out to me, or if you're a expecting mom, new mom, or a seasoned mom, Loudon Birth Circle on Facebook is a free local support group. We have tons of resources. And then in addition to is Arrow Birth, which I also work for, which also supports new parents, new families, through the hardest transition of their lives, which is pregnancy and parenthood. So,
well, beautifully said. I'm sorry, one more time. What you say?
I said that's my plug.
Yep, and it is plugged. Please go check them out, absolutely, and donate to Black Mamas Matter as well. That great, awesome cause. I will put a link to that. And I got to do my due diligence here. Jesus Christ, as the tequila and soda is kicking in a little bit. It's fucking strong. But go DM at Four Corners Radio right now. I don't know why you haven't already. I tell you every single week. Why am I wasting my breath? You need to go do it at Four Corners Radio to join the wonderful family that, of course, is Free Therapy, face of the franchise, five holers, bread and butter, last nice guys, hooping and hollering. Degenerates are us. Go join us right now. That was anywho, go join us, DM us right now, please, to be part of the family that is at Four Corners Radio. With that being said, Kaitlin Stoutenburgh, one more time, thank you so much for crushing it. I don't know what the fuck you were nervous for. I think this helped out a whole lot of people today.
I'm always nervous.
Yeah, well, right here with you. It's always just a little
nervous
bit
about everything.
Always at least at a 6 on anxiety level. I feel you. But with that being said, it was a beautiful show. I was really, really happy to have you on. Thank you one more time. And
thank you.
Absolutely. And with that being said, we are out. Stay on.
Peace.